There is someone in your energy who typed something out and deleted it. I'm seeing the message. I'm seeing the cursor blinking. I'm seeing them staring at your name, rereading what they wrote, then erasing the whole thing like, no, I can't send this. Not yet. But here's the thing. The 10 of Swords is here, and symbolically, this tells me this person is not deleting the message because they don't care. They're deleting it because this connection hit a painful ending. Something here felt final. Something here felt like there's no coming back from this. But they are still looking at the place where it ended. They are still replaying the last conversation, the last silence, the last thing they said, the thing they wish they could take back. And I'm feeling this heavy mental energy around them. Like they have been carrying the ending in their body, in their mind, in their chest. This is not someone who is peacefully moved on. This is someone who is trying to act like the ending doesn't affect them. But mentally, it keeps hitting them over and over again. The 10 of Swords is very dramatic energy, okay, but psychologically, it's that moment where the ego has to stop pretending. This person can't keep telling themselves, I'm fine. I don't miss them. I don't need to say anything. Because every time they type and delete that message, they prove to themselves that the truth is still alive. And wait, because there's something very specific here. They didn't send it because they think you may already see them as the villain. They think you may be done. They think you may have buried this connection and decided, no, that was the last time. But the message they deleted was not casual. It wasn't hey. It wasn't small talk. This feels like an emotional confession that got too real too fast. I'm hearing, I know I hurt you. I'm hearing, I didn't know how to fix it. And I'm hearing, I still think about you every day. But they couldn't hit send because once they send that, they can't hide behind silence anymore. Let's pull into why this ending still has them mentally trapped. Because the 10 of Swords is saying the old version of this connection is over. But the truth they buried is not. And with this Milky Way card here, I'm seeing distance. Not just physical distance, emotional distance, mental distance. The kind of distance where two people can still feel connected, but neither one knows how to cross the space between them anymore. Because look at this energy. The Milky Way is vast, it's endless, it's beautiful, but it's also overwhelming. And that is exactly what this person feels when they think about coming toward you. They know there is still something there. But when they look at everything that happened, it feels like there are too many stars between you, too many words unsaid, too much pain, too much pride, too much time where nobody knew what to do. And the 10 of Swords is saying this ending did something to their mind. It didn't just close a chapter. It forced them to see the damage. It forced them to look at the part they played. And that's why they're mentally trapped. Because silence used to give them a way out. Silence let them pretend they were in control. Silence let them say, well, if I don't say anything, then I don't have to face it. But silence is not peace here. Silence is avoidance. And every time they avoid it, it gets louder inside of them. I'm seeing them replaying one specific moment, like there was a point where they could have softened, but they got defensive. They could have told the truth, but they protected their ego. They could have reached for you, but instead, they let the space get wider. And now, with this Milky Way energy, that space feels enormous to them. They're looking at you from far away, energetically, emotionally, mentally, and they're realizing, I created some of this distance. That is the part they don't want to sit with. Because here's the thing. It's easier for them to say, it ended because things got complicated. It's easier to say, we both just stopped talking. But deep down, they know there was a moment where they chose silence instead of vulnerability. They chose pride instead of repair. They chose to act unaffected instead of being honest. And that old story they told themselves is collapsing. The 10 of Swords is the collapse of denial. The Milky Way is the distance they now have to cross. And the message they deleted had one sentence in it that shows exactly what they're most afraid to admit. And that sentence feels like, I wanted a future with you, but I didn't know how to stop ruining the moment I was in. Because now we have the 10 of Cups here. And this is why the message got too heavy for them. This wasn't just about missing your face. This wasn't just about missing the conversations, or the comfort, or the way your energy made them feel safe. This person was staring at the possibility of what this connection could have become. The 10 of Cups is emotional fulfillment. It's the picture they didn't want to admit they had in their mind. It's that feeling of, this could have been home, and that's why the message scared them. Because if they tell you, I still think about what we could have had, then they also have to face the fact that they played a part in why it didn't fully happen. And wait, because I'm hearing something very specific. I should have said this sooner. Not after everything collapsed. Not after you stopped reaching. Not after the silence got so loud that it started feeling like an answer. They know there was a version of this conversation that should have happened earlier, when there was still warmth, when there was still openness, when you were still standing there emotionally with your hands open. But instead, they waited. And now the words feel heavier. I'm seeing them type something that starts as an apology, but then it turns into a confession. Like they meant to say, I'm sorry. And then suddenly what came out was, I didn't know how much it would hurt when you stopped trying. And that line right there makes them freeze. Because now they're not just apologizing for hurting you. They're admitting that your absence affected them. They're admitting that they noticed when your energy changed. They're admitting that the 10 of Cups was not just your fantasy. It was theirs too, and that is exposure. That is accountability. That is them standing in front of the truth with nowhere to hide. So they deleted it. Not because it wasn't real, because it was too real. Because once they send that kind of message, they can't control how you respond. They can't control whether you forgive them. They can't control whether you say, I needed to hear this, or you should have said it when it mattered. And that fear is what stopped their thumb from hitting send. But the surprising part is not that they miss you. The surprising part is what happened right before they typed it. And what happened right before they typed it feels like the fool. Not because they suddenly became fearless. Not because they suddenly had it all figured out. But because something in them had this impulse. This almost reckless emotional impulse, like, what if I just say it? What if I stop overthinking for 1 second? What if I just reach out? The fool is that moment before the step. That moment where the heart moves before the ego can stop it. And I'm picking up on a trigger that felt small on the outside, but it hit something huge on the inside. For some of you, they saw your name. Maybe your name popped up somewhere. Maybe they searched you. Maybe an old message thread was still there, and they didn't expect their body to react the way it did. For others, this feels like a song, a place, a memory, something so ordinary that they weren't prepared for it. Like they were just going through their day, trying to be normal, trying to keep everything tucked away. And then suddenly there you were, not physically, but emotionally. And wait, because the fool here is also showing me that this trigger brought them back to the beginning, before the ending, before the pain, before all the defensiveness, before the silence, before both of you started protecting yourselves. They remembered how it felt when this connection was still open, when it still felt possible, when they could still reach for you without feeling like they were walking toward a cliff. And that is what cracked them. Because they didn't just miss you in that moment. They missed who they were with you before fear got involved. They missed the version of this connection where things felt lighter, where they didn't have to rehearse every sentence, where talking to you didn't feel like risking their whole pride. I'm seeing them sitting with their phone, and it's like the trigger came in fast. They didn't plan it. They didn't wake up and say, "Today I'm going to confess everything." No. This feels like the truth caught them off guard. It rose up before they could push it down. And for a second, they almost took that leap. But then the fear came back. The cliff came back. The thought of your reaction came back. And their ego said, "Don't do it. You'll look foolish. You'll lose control." So they deleted it. But there's another layer here. Because something or someone around them made them realize this time. They may actually lose you for good. And this 10 of Wands reversed is telling me that the pressure around them is becoming impossible to carry quietly. Because upright, the 10 of Wands is someone carrying too much, taking on too much, dragging the weight of everything by themselves. But reversed, this feels like something slipping. Something they can't keep holding up. A mask they can't keep carrying. A story they can't keep balancing on their back without it finally falling apart. And I don't want to make this messy, because this doesn't feel like gossip. This feels like pressure. For some of you, there may be people around them who gave opinions about this connection. Friends, family, someone in their ear, someone saying, "Don't reach out. Leave it alone. Don't look desperate." And they may have listened to that because it protected their pride. It gave them a reason to stay silent without having to admit they were scared. For others, this feels like comparison. Like they saw or sensed that your energy is not sitting in the same place anymore. Maybe you pulled back. Maybe you stopped posting certain things. Maybe you stopped giving them access to your emotions. Maybe you stopped indirectly showing them that you cared. And they didn't expect you to become quiet like this. They may have expected sadness from you. They may have expected anger. They may have expected you to reach again, explain again, ask again. Give them one more chance to avoid the conversation while still feeling wanted. But your silence started speaking louder than your words. And that is what changed the pressure. Because before, they thought they had time. They thought the door would stay slightly open. They thought, maybe one day I'll say something. Maybe when I'm ready. Maybe when I know what to say. But now, with this 10 of Wands reversed, it feels like the weight of waiting is turning into panic. They're realizing the silence is not weakness. It may be final. And wait, because I'm also feeling that there could be another person. Not necessarily romantic for everyone, but another energy that made them compare what they have now to what they felt with you. And that comparison did not comfort them. It made them feel the difference. It made them realize your energy was not replaceable. So now the trigger has become urgency. The deleted message is not just sitting there as a thought anymore. It is pressing on them. And in the next 2 days, this person is about to face a choice they cannot keep postponing. And this choice is showing up with the 2 of Swords, and this is exactly why the 2-day energy feels so specific. Because the 2 of Swords is not movement yet. It's the pause before movement. It's someone sitting there with the truth on both sides of them, trying not to look at either one too directly. Blindfolded, guarded, crossed up, heart protected, mind loud. So when I say 2 days, I don't want to make it feel gimmicky, like everybody is going to get the same exact text at the same exact hour. No, this feels like a short window where this person cannot keep sitting in the middle anymore. Not 2 months, not someday. This feels close. And the reason it feels close is because the pressure has moved from the outside into their chest. Before they could distract themselves. Before they could tell themselves, "I'll deal with it later." Before they could hold those swords up and block the feeling. But now, later is starting to feel like too late. I'm seeing the 2 of Swords as their phone in one hand and their fear in the other. One side of them wants to send the message. The other side wants to protect their pride. One side says, "Tell the truth." The other side says, "What if they don't want to hear it anymore?" And that is the battle. But here's the thing. The truth arriving may not only be a message. For some of you, yes. This can be a message that comes through after a long hesitation. For others, it may be an indirect sign, a view, a like, someone asking about you, a dream that feels too vivid. A sudden apology that starts awkwardly because they don't know how to walk into the conversation without shaking. But the point is not the format. The point is that the silence is getting interrupted. Something in this energy is trying to break through. And I need you to hear this clearly. You do not have to chase this. You do not have to force the timing. You do not have to send the first paragraph just because you feel something building. Because this Two of Swords is also saying the decision has to come from them. They have to remove the blindfold. They have to stop pretending not to know what they know. Because before the truth arrives, you need to understand what this person has been hiding from themselves. And what they have been hiding from themselves is showing up as the Seven of Cups. This is the card of options, illusions, fantasies, emotional confusion. And I'm feeling that this person has been living in their head about you instead of dealing with the reality of you. Because in their mind, they could create all these different versions of the story. One cup says, maybe they don't care anymore. Another cup says, maybe I'm the one who should be mad. Another cup says, maybe this connection was too intense anyway. Another cup says, maybe I can distract myself with someone else, something else, a different life, a different focus. But none of those cups gave them peace. They only gave them places to hide. And that's the deeper truth here. They did not only hurt you by pretending this connection didn't matter, they hurt themselves. Because every time they acted like they were fine, they had to split from what they actually felt. Every time they told themselves, it's over, just move on, something in them knew they were not being honest. The Seven of Cups can be emotional avoidance disguised as choice. Like, I have options. I have distractions, I have reasons, I have excuses. I have other things to focus on. But underneath all of that, there is one cup they keep looking at. You, your energy. The memory of what this felt like before everything became painful. And with the Ten of Swords, still underneath this reading, it's like the ending was an ego death they tried to turn into a fantasy. They tried to make it mean something less than it meant. They tried to say, it wasn't that deep, but it was. That is why the unsent message keeps coming back. It's the truth trying to breathe. It's the truth trying to get out from under all the confusion, all the excuses, all the cups they kept choosing so they wouldn't have to choose honesty. And I'm feeling shame here. Not just regret, shame. Because they may be realizing, I made this more confusing than it needed to be. They may be realizing they left you in uncertainty because they were uncertain inside themselves. But wait, because the part that changes everything is this. While they were lost in confusion, you were changing in the silence. You were becoming someone different. And they are about to realize that the version of you they thought they could return to is not the same person waiting now. And that is why the moon reversed is so important here. Because upright, the moon can be confusion, fear, things hidden under the surface, feelings moving in the dark. But reversed, this feels like something is being revealed. Something is clearing. The fog is not as thick as it used to be. And I feel like that is your energy. You are not standing in the same confusion anymore. Maybe at one point, you were trying to understand them, trying to read between the lines, trying to figure out what the silence meant, trying to decide if they cared, if they missed you, if they were ever going to say the thing they were clearly holding back. But something shifted. You stopped needing every hidden thing to explain itself before you chose yourself, and that scares them. Not because you became cruel, not because you stopped having a heart, but because your energy doesn't feel as easy to access as it used to. You're not waiting in the same way. You're not explaining yourself in the same way. You're not leaving the same emotional door wide open while they stand outside, pretending they don't know how to knock. And with the moon reversed, they can sense that the mystery is changing. Before, maybe they could hide behind uncertainty. Maybe they could say, "I don't know what they feel." Maybe they could convince themselves that you would still be there, still wondering, still emotionally reaching for the truth they refuse to give. But now your silence feels different. It doesn't feel like begging. It feels like self-respect. And wait, because I'm hearing, they can't come back with half of the truth anymore. That is why the deleted message matters so much. They know a casual, "Hey" is not enough. They know a random check-in is not enough. They know they can't just appear like nothing happened and expect you to become the old version of yourself. Because you became harder to reach, because you became easier to respect. And they feel that. They feel that if they come forward, they have to come through the fog differently. They have to be clearer, more honest, more accountable. Not perfect, but real. The moon reversed is saying the hidden things are rising. Their truth is rising. Your clarity is rising too. So when the truth arrives, it may not look exactly how you expect. Because before the words come out, watch the actions, watch the shift. Watch how they move when they realize they cannot hide from you the same way anymore. And with the 8 of Cups here, this is the part where the truth stops being just words and starts becoming movement. Because the 8 of Cups is not someone who feels nothing. It is someone who is walking away from something that still has emotion in it. Because the emotion alone is not enough anymore. And that is why your energy changed the whole dynamic. They can feel that you are not standing in front of those empty cups, waiting for them to fill them with one sentence. They can feel that if they come back, they have to come back with more than longing. And I'm seeing the way this truth may arrive, and for some of you it does feel like a message. But it may not start dramatic. It may start awkward. It may start with something small, something that looks almost too simple on the surface, like they are testing whether the door is locked. But underneath it, the energy is heavy. Because this is not really about how have you been. This is, do I still have a place to tell you the truth? For others, I'm seeing indirect movement first. A view, a check. Someone asking about you. Their name appearing again after silence. Them circling the edge of your energy before they fully step into it. And it's not because they don't know what they feel. It's because they know this time they cannot just walk in carelessly. The 8 of Cups is also showing me that they may have watched you walk away emotionally. Maybe not loudly. Maybe not with a big announcement. But something in you turned around and said, I can love someone and still not keep standing where I am not being met. And that hit them. I'm seeing the cursor again. I'm seeing the message typed. I'm seeing them reread it. But this time, the difference is they pause longer before deleting. There's a breath there. A moment where their thumb hovers. A moment where they realize, if I delete this again, I may be choosing the ending for real. And that scares them more than being vulnerable. So the truth may arrive in pieces at first. A small opening. An apology that doesn't know how to land. A confession that starts shaky. A late-night message with too much emotion underneath a simple sentence. But when it comes, you will feel the difference. And then the question becomes, is the truth enough? Or do their actions have to prove they can finally meet you differently? And this 3 of Cups reversed is answering that very clearly. Because upright, the 3 of Cups can be reunion. Coming together, joy, celebration. But reversed, this is saying, don't let the idea of reunion distract you from the reality of repair. And that's important. Because someone can miss you and still not be ready to meet you correctly. Someone can confess the truth and still need to prove that the truth changed them. Someone can say, I know I hurt you. But then the next question is, do you know how not to repeat it? That is where your power is. You do not have to reject the truth to protect yourself, but you also do not have to accept words as the whole proof. And I feel like this is why the ending had to happen the way it did. The Ten of Swords was painful. Yes, it felt final. It felt like something collapsed that maybe neither of you knew how to hold anymore. But it also showed you what could not continue. The old version of this connection could not survive on silence. It could not survive on guessing. It could not survive on you feeling everything while they hid behind control. So, if the truth comes in the next 2 days, whether it comes through a message, a sign, an apology, a sudden emotional opening, or even their actions shifting before their words fully catch up, you are allowed to listen from a grounded place. Not desperate, not angry, grounded. Because the Three of Cups reversed is also telling me this does not need to be for show. This is not about them coming back just to feel better for one night. This is not about outside people, opinions, or proving anything publicly. This is about whether two people can sit with what actually happened and tell the truth without turning it into another cycle. And wait, because I'm hearing this very strongly, you already survived the silence. So you do not need to fear the truth. If they come back with honesty, listen to the honesty, but watch the consistency. Watch whether they can stay open after the emotional moment passes. Watch whether they can take accountability without making you comfort them for the guilt. Watch whether their actions become calmer, clearer, steadier. Because the message they typed and deleted was real. The feelings underneath it were real. But the version of you receiving it now is different. You are not the same person who was waiting for them to choose clarity. You became clear while they were still deciding. You became stronger while they were still hiding. You became harder to reach because you finally understood what your peace is worth. So yes, the truth may arrive soon. But the deeper truth is this: by the time it gets here, you will already be the person who knows what to do with it.